Alrighty guys, we're going to be doing a different kind of tutorial today. Instead of showing you one particular job, I'm going to be taking this dark blue velvet jacket that is about one size too big for me and showing you how I am slimming it down in all the different aspects. So it's going to be a more brushed over tutorial approach. I'm not going to go into every single detail, but you will be able to see the process of how I take in multiple parts of a jacket, because I know tailoring isn't just a one size fits all kind of tutorial. I am Louis Jeremita. If you are not familiar with who I am or my channel, I own Primo Tailoring and Aspiring Gent, where I teach people the art of tailoring as well as how to pair clothing and style themselves for success. So thank you for stopping at the channel. We're going to get right into this alteration. So we're going to try the jacket on, and I've already made a few marks already, so don't mind those, but it won't change the way the garment fits. Here we are. So take a look at that. Definitely way too big. Armhole's no good. Body has probably about like 4 inches of room in there. Sleeves too baggy and long. Shoulders are barely hanging in there at the right point, like they're just at the right point. And as you can see how it's marked here, I want to bring that sleeve head forward. Stay tuned. I think it's going to be a good one. And let's get into the marking phase. So I know I've shown you guys in the past how I try these garments on and mark them to myself, but we're going to be doing a little bit of a different approach now that we're doing so much, and we are trying to not use chalk because I don't want it to ruin the fabric. We're going to use a ton of safety pins, and we're going to mark in the areas that we think are going to need the most work. So for example, we're going to be taking in the back of the jacket. The shoulders up in the top part were a little bit loose, so I want to suck that in to kind of give it some shape going all the way down. This is, again, all just to be tried on. And then we're going to go straight down into the bottom vent. Moving on to the sides. We have about 4 inches or so that we need to take in, because what's nice about doing the sides rather than just the back is it allows it to pull in the front of the garment. So the button, where like the button lies at the front, that actually gets tighter, not just the back, which we all want to make sure that we're taking in all around the garment. You want to make sure that this pocket doesn't get too close to that back seam, or you're going to be in trouble. So where we have it right now, we're going to be taking it in about 1 inch, what gives us about 1.5 inches of distance. We should be pretty good. So just to kind of make up the difference, because I know that this sides and back is not going to be enough, we're going to actually try and attempt to take in this front dart. It's possible. It's a little bit of extra work. However, I think it'll give the jacket more shape, pull in that front button a little bit more. Here's another area we want to keep in mind when we're doing is if we're taking in this front dart, we don't want to get too close to that chest pocket because we don't want the dart hitting it, but it can get a little bit closer than where it is now. So just keep that in mind that you're not messing with that too much. Like I said, I've already marked this front cap because I was going to do this job and just make it fit me, and I figured why not show you guys my process. So I already had this measured and marked. Pull this up a little bit so the sleeve rolls up, fits my shoulder a little bit better, and then actually gets pulled forward, closing the armhole up a little bit, as well as getting rid of some of that bagginess right in the front of the chest. So that's marked. Sleeves, again, we want to slim those up. Thinking if we take it in about 3/4 of an inch to start, that'll be plenty. And then we want to shorten, which again, we're going to do another like a 3/4. This is the try-on phase. All the pins are in the garment. We just want to see if it feels good on us. This is so much easier than trying to pinch it and mark it on your own body. So here are those front darts we put in. I think everything just as a jacket just kind of forms a little bit better to myself. We're happy with this. I'm going to write down some information so that I remember when I take these pins out, and then we can get right into the sewing and taking apart phase. So we're going to take this coat in stages. We're going to start with the body of the jacket just to make sure the front darts and all the back is where we want it before we start ripping off the sleeves, taking apart the chest part and all that, because we really want to make sure we're getting each stage right before we move into the next one, because what you'll do is you'll rip apart the whole coat and you're going to lose track of where you were or have to take a break and come back and totally forget how to put it all together. Another thing, when trying things out, I highly recommend trying one side and leaving the other side untouched. This will take it a little bit longer of a process to get done, but at least you have the other side of reference in case you have to put it back. Let's break it down, get it open, and I'm going to show you kind of how I'm marking it. So again, because we're trying to press as little as possible, we're going to try and just do it all by folding and kind of creasing for now, and we'll just do a final press when everything's done. But to take in the center back as much as we need to, we've got to take apart this collar piece where the back seam goes into the collar. Just take off these zigzags. Sometimes there's a straight stitch. It all just depends on how your garment was constructed. Cool, giving you access to stitch your line all the way from in here down that back seam, because that's going to be vital so you don't get any weird puckering up by the collar. So because I wrote everything down, I didn't need my pins to rely on. We are going to take in about 3/4 of an inch, like 1.5 inches back in here. Here for the sides, we're doing a full inch. So let's take a look at these front darts that we have right here. This one actually kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, what is this extra fabric? I thought this was the seam, but this is just some reinforcement that they've sewn onto the dart that they made right there. So we are just going to be increasing this by what we wrote down, which, if I recall correctly, was 3/4 of an inch at its depth. So this is where we're tapering in at. This is the front pocket, and then the chest pocket would be up here. So about middle of that, we'll go right there. We are going to go 3/8 at its largest point. Again, we don't want to get too aggressive here because it can make or break the look. So 3/8, I think, coming in from this pocket should be manageable, but we'll use a very loose stitch on the machine first off, just to make sure that everything is the way it should. And to kind of fix, we gotta get rid of this. So, and then we're going to continue up, and we're going to add a little bit to the top of the dart, probably no more than like about 1 inch. Let's go from there, 1 inch up. That's where we'll taper back in, because we want to clean up some of that underarm as well. Just make sure you're laying this as flat as you can. You don't want that front dart to kind of curve going up. So we got that where we want it, right there. And then we're just going to increase that dart a little bit, hopefully sucking everything in. We'll do it on both sides, try it on, make sure it's all good. So we've got this all opened up and sewn where we want it, but I want to try it on, but again, I don't want to press it until I know it's perfect. So we're going to take some basting thread. Let's see how long we want to make that. About an arm's length. And we're going to baste open this back seam. We're going to baste down the side seams and the front darts. That way it's going to give us our most accurate representation of how it's going to fit without pressing it and risking getting any of those burn marks. Just run a very loose running stitch. So here we have it completely basted, and I'm actually digging it. Check out the back. You can see the stitch marks along the side. You can see how it kind of sculpts to the back right there. Really happy with it. And most importantly, we're only down to about 1 inch of extra room, which I think with the velvet looks really good. That way you don't get too many pulls. You want the velvet to lay clean. But taking in this front dart here really helps. There's a few little puckers I want to press out, but again, we'll do that when we're ready to press it all. Next, we're going to move into the sleeves in this cap, but let's go over and start breaking down the sleeve cap. So here again, we're not going to be using chalk to mark the way that this is increasing. So we're going to resort back to the basting thread because we do want a line to be able to take apart the sleeve and kind of transfer everything on and then re-stitch it down. I think for how much this was kind of puckering, about a ½ inch over is going to be our max. I'm just going to take this guy and we're going to start at nothing, taper out to about a ½ inch, and then we're going to taper back down into nothing, down underneath the arm here to kind of hide that transition. If you want, use your tape measure, go around and make the little points, put a pin in, baste to the pin, pull it out and go around. I'm just going to go based off my eye. Nothing has to be too precise because we can always go back and kind of reassess and fix things as we go on. So there we have our chest pocket. We want to pull this sleeve over close to it. Not too close to where it almost touches, but just enough to get rid of some of that wrinkling. So we've opened up the sleeve. We've taken apart the lining on the inside. So just from about where our basting starts to where it stops. You don't want to take off too much more than that. And all we're going to do, take our basting thread and we're going to just sew right back into where this crease is on the sleeve and just kind of pull it over, match it up to where our basting is on the chest so that it comes and looks like this side that we just did. See that? So that is completely rebasted, about a ½ inch over. Once we get both sides on, we'll try it on, then we'll take it to the machine and actually go on the inside and stitch down that sleeve. Different day, same project. We have the armhole. We've got the armhole sewn down. We basted it, fitted it, looked good, happy with it. So we just took the machine, ran it down the armhole part, got that stitched. All we'll have to do is add the lining, connect that. We'll show you that in a second. Next, what we're working on is slimming down the sleeve and shortening the sleeve. I'm not going to go in too much detail on how I'm going about that just because I do have 2 other videos dedicated. Should be here. We'll link them in the description or on the card. So we're not going to go crazy on that, but we are going to show you just kind of like the quick rundown of the process just in case you haven't seen those videos. So here is a sleeve turned inside out, and we're taking in this outside seam. So if you're looking at it from the outside of the jacket, you have your sleeve, which is comprised of the vent, which is where the buttons go. This is the outside seam, running up all the way to the back of the shoulder blades. We are taking in that side when you turn it all inside out. You don't want to take in the front side where it kind of like runs down this side of your arm because there's like a nice curve already put in there where the back is a little bit easier to reshape. So we took in the amount that we wanted, we marked it, took it to the machine, ran it down, we opened it. Next what we need to do, and because this fits well, and to finish the sleeve off we do need to press this. We will get the pressing cloth out and get this nice and flat so that we can continue with the sleeves. So this is the exciting part because everything is starting to come together. We've got the back taken in, the front darts done. We just finished up the sleeves, slimming them down, shortening them. Again, check out those videos if you want to see how that was done. Now what we're doing is putting everything together. We're going to go through the pressing, how I do that without ruining the fabric. But right now we're going to start putting together the sleeve lining. Again, this is in my shoulder pad video. This is the front of the jacket. This is the top by the collar. You're just going to take some of your black thread, tie a knot into it. All right, so to start, when you tack down the sleeve fabric to the chest fabric, like I did on the machine after I knew everything was right, I also tacked down this front piece of lining. See that? So you don't have to sew that down additionally. If you get that all done with that straight stitch, That's perfect. It's going to save you a lot of time in the long run. Now we're just going to hand stitch this lining down. So I tied my knot, push that needle in deep enough to where it's already into fabric stitched lining. Cool. I should be wearing my thimble, but I don't know where it is at the moment. Cool. We got that. I'm going to grab a little piece of the bottom and then a little piece of the top. And we're just going to keep going like that to form the two pieces together. So we're just going to go that all the way down, stopping every now and then to put in a tack where we just back tack it like we would finish off any thread, and then go all the way down the sleeve. Next, we're going to the next area that we want to tack, and that's going to be the collar. So we took in the center back, and as you remember, we had to take off the piece of the collar to get all the way up there with our stitching. So we are left with this opening in the collar. Super easy repair. Take your thread, tie a knot. We're going to go up in this corner, go back a couple stitches. Oops. Just go all the way until you hit the other side of the stitching, and you're done on this step. So the last piece that we really want to get right is this bottom piece of the vent. So here's the back of the jacket. Comes down into these two vents right here and the center. So since we took in so much, the lining at the underside of this is too much. You can see all that flappiness. What we want to do is pull this lining nice and tight along that edge on both sides and kind of figure out how much is extra in the middle. So we're taking it in about 2 inches, probably about from mid-back all the way down to the bottom. And then the last thing you want to do is once that's tacked in, you want to secure the lining to that outer face. You want to sew all the way across the bottom. So we've got everything nice and tacked up. We stitched it down. We now want to just go over the jacket and start pressing down the seams to keep everything in place. Like I said, using a pressing cloth. You can check the descriptions on where you can get professional stuff. I'm just using some cotton fabric I had. But the name of the game is you want to make sure your iron's not super duper hot. And when you apply the pressure and the steam, you want to just be very careful you're not leaving it too long or it will start to make marks. So for example, I'm just going to press it a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. Check it. Nice. Just go over all the seams on the coat, checking to make sure that no spots are getting permanently discolored. You might see a little bit of lightening of the fabric, but usually a good brush of it puts it right back to normal if you haven't singed it. Move over to the side panel. We're resetting these vents. So we'll start from the bottom. This is one of my favorite parts.
So this is the finished product. You can see how much better everything fits me. The body is slimmed in a lot more. You've got the cutout in the back. The shoulders and upper chest fit like a glove. Guys, I am so happy with how this turned out. But let me know what you guys think. What would you change? What do you think needs tweaked?
So we're at the end. We got to take down this entire jacket, at least one size. This is a 42 regular. I'm a 40 regular. Almost a 38 regular if I just kept working out a little bit, but just for reference. Hopefully you found this informative, guys. If there's any part of that didn't make any sense or you have any other questions, down below is all the ways you can contact me to get further in-depth advice. And also let me know how you like this brushed through version where I'm not going into the very detailed detailed version, but I'm showing you how to do a full job from start to finish. Also, let me know what you think about the coat. Do you think it fits well? What areas would you still like to fix? There's a few things like some puckering in the shoulder that I'd like to remove if I go back in and try and do it a little bit more. But otherwise, guys, thank you for watching to this point. It means so much to me. Like, share, subscribe, help get this channel to grow to that next level so that I can really invest everything that I have, whether it's time or monetary wise, to really build this up and help you guys learn the art of tailoring. Otherwise, guys, you know where to find me if you got questions. Thank you for being here and look forward to working with you soon.